Aladdin, against all odds. Princess Jasmine and Aladdin were strolling across the palace grounds one evening when the Sultan ran out onto the balcony. "Drat!" the Sultan cried. "That dratted desert race!" Every year, the best riders from Agrabah competed against the riders from the neighboring kingdom of Zagrabah. The fastest horse and rider were awarded the prized Golden Palm Trophy. Jasmine's father was upset because Prince Falkiz of Agrabah has won it for the last 3 years. "I have an idea, father," Jasmine said eagerly. "I could ride my horse Midnight in the desert race this year. He's the fastest horse in Agrabah." The Sultan did not like that idea. The race was dangerous, and he didn't want his only daughter hurt. "How about if I ride Midnight in the race?" Aladdin suggested. Immediately, the Sultan's face brightened. He liked that idea very, very much. Aladdin had never ridden Midnight before. In fact, nobody but Jasmine had ever ridden him. So the next day, they went to the stables to give Aladdin and Midnight a chance to get to know each other. When Aladdin came toward him with the saddle, Midnight jumped out of reach. When Aladdin swung up onto Midnight's back, the horse kicked up his heels. Aladdin went flying. But when Jasmine climbed onto the saddle, the horse did everything she asked. It looked like Midnight was a one-princess horse. Still, Jasmine's father wouldn't let her ride in the race. The day of the race arrived. Riders from Zagrabah paraded into Agrabah, including Fahiz and his big gray stallion, Desert Warrior. When it was time for the race, fans jostled for the best views. It seemed everyone but Jasmine was there to watch. As they took their spot at the starting line, Fahiz and his horse looked confident. Suddenly, Aladdin joined the line. He was riding a very strange-looking blue horse. In fact, it wasn't a horse at all. It was Genie in disguise. The Sultan raised his flag. 1, 2, 3, he called, and they're off. The race was on. A black horse with a mysterious veiled rider took the lead right away. As soon as they were out of view of the palace, the rider threw off the veil. It was Jasmine. "I do hate going against father's wishes," she whispered to Midnight, "but I had to prove that you were the fastest." As the race went on, Jasmine stayed in the lead. But then Fahiz and Desert Warrior started to catch up. Jasmine urged her horse Midnight to be faster, but Midnight couldn't seem to pull away. Warrior was a big, strong, and very fast horse. Finally, he edged ahead of Midnight. Jasmine and Midnight weren't going to let Fahis win. Midnight galloped hard and passed Warrior. "That trophy is Agrabah's," Jasmine called over her shoulder with a laugh. But Fahis and Warrior weren't giving up either. They stayed right at Midnight heels until the horses had to jump a ditch that crossed their path. Midnight sailed over it easy, but Warrior skidded to a stop, throwing Fahis. With Fahis and Warrior out of the running, it seemed there was nothing to keep Jasmine and Midnight from winning. But just then, Jasmine heard the sound of hoofbeats right behind her. They were coming up fast. Jasmine turned back to see who was following her. She gasped. It was Aladdin, and there was something odd about his horse. Soon Aladdin and his mystery horse had caught up, and he and Jasmine were fighting for the lead. Jasmine really wanted to prove that Midnight was the fastest horse in the two kingdoms, and that she was the best rider. She pushed Midnight harder and harder. As they neared the finish line, the two horses were neck and neck. First, Midnight would pull ahead a tiny bit, then Aladdin's horse would take over. But neither could keep the lead. The two horses crossed the finish line at the same time. As soon as Midnight slowed to a stop, Jasmine jumped off. She gave her tired horse a hug and led him to the water trough for a drink. Her father ran over. "Excellent work, you two," he cried. Then he frowned. "Wait, didn't I forbid you to ride?" "I'm sorry, Father," Jasmine began. "It's just that—" "Oh, never mind," the Sultan interrupted, grabbing the trophy and holding it up. "Agrabah is victorious at last, twice over, in fact." Her father was right. Both she and Aladdin had won. She needed to congratulate him and ask him a question. She walked over to Aladdin, who was standing with his odd-looking horse. "Congratulations," he said when he saw her. "Same to you," Jasmine replied. "But where in the world did you find yourself such a fast horse?" Aladdin looked at his horse, then he looked at his feet. He didn't seem to know what to say. Just then the genie changed from a horse back into his usual form. Jasmine gasped. "Sorry, Princess," the genie said with a wink. "We were just horsing around." When the Sultan realized what Aladdin had done, he frowned. The rules said only a horse and a rider team could win the Golden Palm Trophy. Aladdin and Genie were disqualified. And that meant Jasmine and Midnight were the winners. Jasmine patted Midnight proudly. Then she changed, and she and Midnight took their spots at the head of the victory parade. She had always known Midnight was fast, but she'd never imagined he was so fast that he could match the Genie for speed. The end.